Imagine a future where intelligence isn't just a software dream, but a physical force, powering factories, cities, and even the machines around us. That future is unfolding today. At the center of it, a humble founder with the eyes of a prophet, steering a company that many believe holds the keys to the coming AI infrastructure revolution. This is the story of Jensen Huang, Nvidia, and the AI investment boom that may redefine how the world builds and thinks. Jensen Huang was not born into Silicon Valley royalty. He grew up in Taiwan and later moved to Oregon, where he studied electrical engineering. But his quiet beginnings masked a restless ambition. Long before AI became a buzzword, Huang believed in the power of accelerated computing. Chips built not just for graphics, but for the deep, heavy lifting required by tomorrow's workloads. In the early days, Nvidia was known for its gaming GPUs, beloved by gamers for rendering photorealistic worlds and pushing performance boundaries. Yet Huang saw a different horizon. Under his leadership, Nvidia began to pivot quietly, not just graphics, but computation, and not just any computation, but artificial intelligence. For decades, general-purpose CPUs reigned supreme, but Huang foresaw a shift. As machine learning models grew, so did their hunger for compute. He bet early on a vision that most at the time regarded as niche, and that bet would pay off in ways no one fully grasped until now. Fast forward to today, Nvidia is no longer just a graphics card company. It's the backbone of the AI infrastructure age. In its fiscal Q3 of 2026, Nvidia reported a staggering $57 billion in revenue, up 62% year over year. Data center sales, powered largely by GPU demand for training and inference, generated $51.2 billion, a 66% increase. In its fiscal year 2025, Nvidia's full-year revenue soared to $130.5 billion, more than doubling from the previous year. Net income? $72.9 billion, up 145%. These aren't just numbers, they are a signal. The infrastructure wave that Huang has long spoken about is real, massive, and accelerating. Behind Nvidia's explosion lies something even bigger, a capex boom by the world's largest cloud providers. These companies are pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into AI infrastructure, money that flows directly into Nvidia's GPUs, systems, and platforms. During an earnings call, Huang made a bold claim. The top hyperscalers, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, Google, and Meta, are collectively spending $600 billion annually on infrastructure. He framed this as not vague conjecture, but as a doubling of capex in just 2 years, driven by demand for AI compute. Some analysts remain skeptical, noting that public capex guidance from these companies appears lower than Huang's figure. But even if the 600B is not exact, the direction is clear. These companies are building AI factories at scale. Meta, for instance, is planning to spend up to $65 billion in 2025 alone on its AI infrastructure. Alphabet, Google, is targeting $75 billion. Amazon is eyeing $100 billion. Huang has emphasized that Nvidia captures a significant share of this spend. Many analysts estimate half of AI infrastructure capex ends up going into Nvidia systems. If this builds out as Huang envisions, we're not just witnessing a tech boom, but a multi-trillion-dollar industrial transformation. Central to Nvidia's rise is Blackwell, its next-generation AI architecture. Named after David Blackwell, a legendary statistician,
This new line of GPUs is engineered for both training and inference, for reasoning, not just brute force learning. Huang has said repeatedly that demand for Blackwell is insane. Reddit. He claims orders for 3.6 million Blackwell GPUs just from the top 4 cloud providers, even higher because some orders from Meta, X, startups aren't yet counted. Reuters. Then there are geopolitical tensions. U.S. export controls have restricted Nvidia's access to China, a potentially massive AI market. YouTube.com. Huang acknowledges the risk, but says he remains optimistic about global demand, even as he navigates complex trade policy. Manufacturing risk, too. Chip supply depends on TSMC, which itself is making capital investments in U.S.-based fabs. Reuters +1. If geopolitical shifts or supply chain hiccups arise, Nvidia's ability to meet this surging demand could be tested. And from a market perspective, some analysts question whether the $600 billion capex figure Huang promotes is overstated, or if it represents just the narrative rather than reality. SiliconANGLE. But for Huang, the narrative is central. He is building not just a company, but a platform, a foundation. Jensen Huang, the charismatic leader, is not just selling silicon, he is selling a believe-in future. On stage at CES in early 2025, Huang spoke of physical AI, an era where machines perceive, move, and act autonomously. The Australian. He introduced a desktop supercomputer code-named Digits, powered by Blackwell, aimed at democratizing access to AI infrastructure even for scientists and students. Reddit. He speaks like a visionary, but executes like a pragmatist. When Blackwell's production stumbled, he didn't retreat. He collaborated with TSMC, solved the problem, and got the machines rolling again. Business Insider. Under his leadership, Nvidia is more than a vendor. It is a partner to governments, cloud providers, telecom companies, and forward-thinking industries. His ambition is not just corporate growth, it's a global infrastructure build. So where do we go from here? The next chapters of this story are still being written, but the outlines are already visible. If Huang's vision holds, we could see the rise of AI factories, industrial skill centers powered not just by robots, but by reasoning machines. Data centers will evolve into agentic intelligence complexes, where inference is as important as training. The infrastructure wave could reshape how nations compete. Countries that build robust AI-capable networks, factories, telecom, automotive, stand to gain disproportionately. For Nvidia, it's not just about selling chips, it's about anchoring the future of intelligence in its architecture. Yet, the risks loom. Trade tensions, manufacturing constraints, competitor breakthroughs, they could all blow back on Nvidia's grand vision. And if the capex boom cools, the story could shift. Looking back, Jensen Huang's journey from video game GPU pioneer to the center of a global AI infrastructure revolution teaches us some critical lessons. First, vision matters. Huang bet big on accelerated compute long before AI was mainstream. That patience and conviction is paying off in spades. Second, infrastructure is the new frontier. AI is not just software. To scale, it needs massive physical investments, data centers, chips, networks. The biggest opportunities are not just in creating AI models, but in powering them. Third, risk and reward are intertwined. Bold infrastructure calls carry geopolitical, technical, and supply chain risks, but for those who can execute, they may yield exponential returns. Finally, leadership can shape an age. Huang is not just building a business, he's helping architect a new industrial era, one where intelligence becomes as foundational as electricity, water, or roads. As the AI boom ramps into overdrive, the world will look back on this moment as a turning point, not just for Nvidia, but for how we build, compute, and ultimately think. Jensen Huang didn't just bet on chips. He bet on a future where AI is more than a tool, it's infrastructure. And if he's right, the foundations of the 21st century may well be built on his vision. Be